Good morning, all. Thank you so much for joining me in another episode of Real Talk Live. Super excited about today's conversation and super psyched to pivot a little bit about our Seattle Mariners. Was able to go to the game last night, another 3-0 win, definitely playoff bound, and it'll be the first time we're going to end that 20-year drought of missing the playoffs. So super excited for the M's. But pivoting back to why we're really here, real estate. And again, super excited about the conversation that we're about to have with BHHS Select Properties, one of their top brokers in St. Louis, Missouri, Stacy Clark. And the one thing that I'm really, one of the great takeaways for me through these first several episodes in this business is, regardless of your background, regardless of your experience, everybody can be successful in this business. You just look at our past guests. One started in retail, worked at a golf course, then was an assistant, and then moved on to a great business of her own. Another Ivy League, was on Wall Street, then transitioned into real estate. Our last guest moved to the United States, not knowing any English, was in the mortgage business, that collapsed, and then he reinvented himself in real estate. And maybe the best story so far in terms of a prior career transition into real estate is our guest today. So please help me welcome Mr. Stacy Clark.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good, pretty good. I can't complain much at all.
Good, good. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking time to visit with us here today. And so, I always like to start with, take me back. Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background. You were in law enforcement before real estate. So tell us a little bit about yourself personally and then your transition into real estate.
Well, you basically said it. I'm Stacy Clark. I been selling real estate 23 years on the 25th of last month. So that's always a good thing. Didn't think I was going to be doing it this long. I became a real estate agent after I was a police officer, and my wife decided after a few incidents, I got a broken finger, then a dislocated knee, then got shot at and had the vest catch it. So, that was time to do something different. And it was really crazy because I saw my real estate agent who sold me my house, who was in a ratty van, and she walked her to a Mercedes Benz. And I go, that's the thing for me. I need to do that. So.
Well, you shared that with me, that you had actually sent her 5 referrals through the years, and she made the comment to you that you'd be really successful in real estate. And was that kind of one of those defining moments that convinced you, I could do that? My wife no longer wants me to take bullets. And so was that kind of one of the tipping points that motivated you to pursue it?
Actually, it wasn't, which is crazy because I was like, yeah, that'd be nice. But, it was like, I don't think I can do this because as a police officer, I don't like people. You see the worst of people when they're at their worst. I mean, they can be great people, but when you see them, they're at their worst. And I'm like, I don't like people. So no. And my wife says, you need to do something. You need to do something. So I'll try it. And here I am today.
Yeah, good. And so congratulations on your 23rd anniversary last month. So now take us back to, no one starts out their career closing 50, 60, in your case, 70 transactions or so annually. So take us back to the first couple years, maybe the first 2 years getting your business going, how'd you invest your time in what activities?
I mean, as a beginner, you do everything. You mail cards, you talk to people, you do the flyers through the mail that we used to do before now, phone calls, and it was really hard because like they say your sphere, use your sphere, your sphere is everything. But when I was new, my sphere was police officers. That's all I knew, and they're like, I'm not gonna sell you, you're not gonna sell a house to me. I'm not gonna sell my house. You're a real estate agent. I mean, you're a cop. You're not a real estate agent. You know nothing about this. This is too big for you. So I had to go and reinvent myself and prove to myself and the police officers that my friends that they now believe that I'm a real estate agent that I could do this. So it was different at the time. And like I said, lots of phone duty. And I do believe in passing out 10 cars a day. Even now, I tell everybody 10 cars a day. The more people you know, the better you'll do. It's all about who you know and how good you are at your job.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because one of the things that I've admired about you as we've talked over the last several weeks is just how simple you try to keep things and how simple your philosophies are. And the business of real estate's hard, but yet it's simple at the same time. And when I asked you, and I'd love to hear you say it, is what do you attribute your success to? Because those early years. And I think a lot of us that really resonates with, people want to support us, they want to use us, but there is that doubt, right? I mean, is there the experience and credibility to make sure everything goes smoothly and well, and you've got to overcome that. So what do you attribute success to? Because when you shared that with me, I wrote it down because it's just so simple, but powerful.
And it's crazy because I just had the conversation with another newer agent. You spend all your money in buying leads and all this stuff, and actually that stuff is, you don't need to do that. The simple things in life is just knowing lots of people and just be nice to people. Treat people like you would want to be treated, or better than you would want to be treated. And if you do that, they remember that. We have a thing in our office that we don't have any clients. We have all friends. If you are my friend, then you'll be more easy or more receptible to refer me on to somebody else. If you just look at me as a business person, then it's a business transaction, which buying a house for most people is not business. It's very personal.
Yeah.
And, when you do that, look at that way and you treat your people that way, then you really believe, and they believe you, that you want to help them, that you're here for them.
Yeah.
I don't believe I don't buy leads. I don't, I have done some other things, but most of my stuff is referral based.
So what lessons over those first couple of years? So your first 2 years, how many transactions did you close? And then at what point did it really start to elevate to the place that you're at now, where you've built a good, consistent, reliable, 70-ish either direction on any given year annually? But where were you the first couple of years, and what lessons did you learn from that time that you still carry forward today?
Pretty funny you say that. My first year, I sold one house. So it was pretty rough. And like I say, I was spending money trying to do it because I had left the police department and I had my little pension money that was saved up. But it was rough. And but at the same time, I always just passed my cards out because I had to reinvent myself. I did that, and I just you meet other agents. The other agents is always a good thing too, because even now you have some agents that are far apart from you. St. Louis is spread out, it's huge. And you have some agents that will be 30, 40 miles away, and they don't want to drive 30, 40 miles away. So I got agent referrals. I have, like, my friends are my clients, and I know their birthdays, and I know where their kids are, and I know just everything about them. I go to graduations because they're a part of me.
Yeah.
And once you do that and you build that up, the rest becomes easy. I mean, it's pretty funny because my business partner, hi, Tracy Shelton, the rest of my team, Don Winkler, Tiana, love you guys. They tell me all the time, stuff just falls in your lap. No, it doesn't. I've got years of working at this, years of meeting people.
Yeah.
And pretty funny because, you were talking routine. I don't want to go thing, but, I don't have a routine, but I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because I think all successful people are very intentional in what they do, but it doesn't seem intentional, but it really is. And again, what you shared with me, what you attribute success to is you can never know enough people and make them feel good. It doesn't get any more simple than that. But it's funny, the first time that you and I spoke, you were at the gas station. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, hold on. And you got in this exchange with a client / friend, a couple pumps over. And I was like, I mean, this guy is really just, it's all about relationships and people. And there's really, what I've learned from you is there's not really many strangers probably in St. Louis to you. It's, and you're just so focused, hyper-focused on nurturing positive relationships.
Right. Exactly. I think, but with other agents also, because agents don't realize if they don't like you, you're not quick to get a contract. If you have one that's similar or even a little bit worse than yours, but they don't like you, I get referrals from lots of agents. My secondary team, the Bamer team, they're the top, which you probably know, they're the top agents in the BHHS company. And I get stuff from them when they get overwhelmed or their agents don't seem to fit with them. It's all about how you treat everybody and your relationships you have with everybody, agents and brokers, other brokers in your company outside. If you treat people horrible, you just won't get the business.
Yeah. Very, very good. So you said you've been in the business 23 years this August. So that means you've navigated multiple markets, the boom of 02 to 07, the Great Recession of 8 to 2012, and then really the last decade's been historic, fueled by the last two, and now we're in another one. And so, what lessons have you learned navigating market changes, and what are the constants that you've learned over that 23 years that you really doesn't really matter what's going on? These are the constants that you've just got to focus on.
Yeah. Well, what I've learned is you've got to adapt. You've got to what they say, pivot. If you don't change and pivot at all with what's going on, then if you just stay the same course, you'll die with that market. So I've learned to do that because the glory years of 02 to 06, 07. Oh my God, it was amazing. I was I was the man. You couldn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
But everybody in real estate was, you just drive by. I'm a real estate agent. I want a house. I got you. Here you go. And then it crashed. And when it crashed, we learned, and I started doing more stuff with short sales and BPOs, and then I learned that I can't do it all myself. So I had another agent. We joined with Tracy Shelton, and we became the REO team. We did more foreclosures than I was doing 1,500 BPOs like a year. Wow. 15,000 BPOs a year. Wow. I was doing 1,000 BPOs a month.
Wow.
But this is what we had to do to survive and find stuff for our people and do that. And then once again, the more people from making relationships with banks and people who want these things, and it grows from there. And then from there, we built our team. We added a buyer's agent and an ad man. And like I say, so we was able to survive that time frame. Yeah. And even with this new market, it's time to pivot. I just don't know if we want left or right just yet because they haven't been in it. But we do know that we got to do more counseling for our buyers now because they don't understand when you were at a 3% rate and now you're at a 6% rate, why you can't get the same house.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We've got to.
So, and Tom Ferry says this all the time. Sometimes you got to find the market within the market. And I think that's certainly relevant to the space that we're in today. You referenced counseling your clients. So, what are you doing today that's maybe a little bit different that we haven't had to do the last 2 years, relative to the conversations that you're having with clients? What's that conversation and dialogue like?
And I'm talking more people off the ledge. It's crazy. Buyers, like I said, they're upset. If you were looking at $400,000 3 months ago, you're looking at $300,000, but you didn't see what you liked at $400,000. Yeah. So it becomes a thing where, we can change different directions and maybe get a different type of loan, or, I was discussing something I hadn't heard of in a long time, bridge loans you sell your house until you do. It's just you got to change, and you have to understand what the market is doing, and tell them. And sellers, last year you put your house on the market with doing nothing, and you got 900 contracts.
Yeah,
And now,
right.
you may get one or two if your house is decent. So you need to make your house spectacular so you can still get 4 or 5 contracts.
Yeah.
And they want to tell you what their neighbor's house and how it looked, and everybody's house is worse than yours. But so I'm doing more talking off the ledge and explaining how the market is now, especially
Yeah.
more than I had to the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I've heard a lot from everybody is just the frequency in the conversation and the education and counsels just intensified compared to, the last 2 years, it was like, buckle up, we're going for a ride. And
Right.
now it's really more about more frequent conversations and just education. And that was one thing that through our conversations, you really focused on was just knowledge and skill set and how much time you've got to spend really understanding our business and our craft. And so I'd like for you to expand a little bit on that in terms of how you and your team understand your marketplace, study the marketplace, and how you're continuing to sharpen your tools.
Well, so I tell everybody, whoever knows the contract wins. Any arguments you may have, whoever knows the contract best. So if you are knowledgeable in your job and the tools you have for your job, i.e. the contracts, your loan officers, so you first have to know that. And that's in any market, but definitely in this market. Yeah. Because, you got people going in with no inspections, no appraisals, and it's crazy. And $75,000, $80,000 overpriced. I mean, I hope to never see this ever again. But to tell your people and make them understand that is really good. But I actually was crazy. I did a Facebook post that I have had no buyers go in and waive their inspections and waive their appraisals, and I still got them under contract. So that's a really hard that's really, really hard. I actually lost one buyer because she says I wasn't, emotional or passionate enough because I would not let her waive the appraisal. But you don't have the funds to do that and going 70 over if it doesn't appraise. And you can't please everybody. You can just, smile and hope they understand. And if they don't, they do. But like I say, it's a lot of talking people because they get heated debates. They get really, really mad when you can't get what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. You had shared that story with me before and I think this is just a confidence level with you're not, that another deal is coming, that you're willing to walk away from a deal when you don't think it's in your client's best interest. I mean, that was pretty powerful to me. So you said you didn't have a routine, although I've got it written down. It looks pretty disciplined to me. And I think routine is as important as anything in to be successful in business. So your routine's a little bit different than maybe some of our past guests, just from the hours perspective. So describe your routine to us.
Well, like I said, I was surprised to say I've watched your show, and I'm like none of those guys. There's no way this side of heaven and heck that I'm going to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow going to the gym. I just went to bed 4 hours ago. I am not going to be up that early. So yeah, so my day, we have a program we call the Ninja Program, and people think it's crazy, but the most important thing I took of is keeping your mindset straight when you wake up in the morning. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't look at phones, I don't check emails, I don't do anything. I talk to my Alexa and I listen to comedy. So I'm in a good mood when I first wake up, and I can step into any bad news that might be on that phone. But I listen to that. I prepare myself, get ready. My wife is amazing, and I love you, Tammy. She cooks breakfast for me most mornings, and but then by 9 o'clock in the morning, I have a celebrity client, Mr. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, who is an ex-Patriots and Bengals player, and he buys a lot in St. Louis because the market's amazing here. And 9 o'clock, no later than 9:02 every morning, he's calling me.
Wow,
what's going on? What's this look like? We going over things he has, and so that's every morning. From there, I'm hitting the office about 9:30 or so, and going over stuff with my admin. Actually, she's telling me what she's going to do, so it's not really. And talking with Kate, and then I'm going between those time periods, calling clients, that I haven't talked to, touching bases with them. We're getting my mailings together that we got to go and reach out and see people and congratulations and birthdays, and talking with Tracy, my business partner, and Dawn, and see what's going on. Like I said, it's just what we do. It doesn't seem like a routine. And until you told me that, I'm like, I don't have a routine. But also I got a bit just so I didn't realize I do this either until someone told me. When I come in the office, I go around before I get to my office and I greet everybody to see how they're doing, because, and Kate, who you saw earlier, she's like, you greet everybody. You got to give everybody a hug. And because once again, you've got to be nice. You've got to treat people right. And don't get me wrong, I can be a pain a lot. But those times you're a pain, you got to make up for that other time. So
yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, what I take away from that is you're really hyper focused on nurturing relationships with everybody, your peers, your clients, brokers on the opposite side of deals. I mean, that's just a priority for you.
But then my day usually doesn't end like other people's. They're 5 or 6, they're done. I'm not. I'm still out. I'm showing property. I have dinner with my wife probably about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And then I'm going to the gym at 11:30.
Yeah.
I'm not. Because I can't go to the gym and then go to work. I'm sleepy after that. You guys are doing something wrong. And then my day starts all over again.
Yeah. So, again, I would argue that you have a really structured routine. To you, I think it's just such habit that it doesn't feel like it. But I would contend that that's a reason, a contributing factor to the success that you enjoy year after year after year. And I know in that block of time, you told me that you really at a minimum 4 hours a day try to connect with clients and sphere. And you put yourself on that clock that it's got to be 4 hours every day. It's always been that. An hour of it's social media, just engaging folks on your various platforms, and then the other 3 just connecting in some way. And then it's appointments, and you end the day around 8 o'clock. So I think you really do have a lot of structure to your day, and I think that's why you're successful. Huh?
So I'm normal?
Well, I'm not going that far. I'm not going. What advice, we talked about counsel and conversations you're having with your clients. So since you spend a lot of time, and one of the first things you do in the office is greet your peers, what advice would you have for other brokers in your office, in the business, of folks listening here, as we navigate really kind of a historic period in our business? What advice or counsel do you have for folks that are your peer group?
You got to treat people right. You got to be nice. If you don't treat people right, I mean, that's everybody, even the person that's just treating you bad at the time, you because they remember that, you've just got to be nice to people. If you don't treat people with respect and be courteous like you want to be treated, you're never going anywhere in this business. I do that all the time. And like I say, and I have my moments, but at the same time, I have more better moments than not better moments.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're just lost.
Yeah. And you've talked about that over and over and over again. And when I've asked you that question, the constants in the business, your response has always been, people don't change. People need a home, and they want to be treated to a great experience. I mean, again, I think just you break things down so simple that it makes it easy to execute. And that's one thing I've really enjoyed about the conversations with you is, and you've just been so consistent in those themes. And I think that's why you've been successful.
Man, you're calling me simple.
No, complicated, but simple.
Okay.
One thing that I think that we all can resonate to, especially as we are new into the business, and then as we're finding our footing as we mature through the business. Tell us about kind of one of the turning points when there was a client walk in. You were struggling to get your business going. This was early in your career. There was a client walk in, and he or she made a comment to you that really had an impact, and you made that adjustment, and then all of a sudden you started seeing different results. What
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah. So my client walked in. It was pretty funny because it was actually the first house I ever sold. So, and every time we get there, I had a suit and a tie on and my jacket, and we're going, and it's June, July, and I'm hot. So one day she came in and she's like, "Man, you look like a police officer. Lighten up." I was like, "What?" And cause my tie was off, and she goes, "I like you better like that. You like a police officer at the time. Lighten up." And you'll see me now in jeans and shorts and t-shirts a lot of the time. I'm gonna fool you the first time I meet you. I'm gonna come in this tie and a shirt, and then I'm switching back up because
Yeah. So what was what was that takeaway for you? What was the impact of that comment and the change that you made?
well, because I was when I first started, I was still a police officer, and you have to have this. I don't want to say menacing. You have to have a stern look about yourself that you're not really approachable.
Yeah.
And although I was still likable in this lady's eyes, I wasn't as approachable as she wanted until she saw me with my guard down. And from that, because she showed up early, and I'm like, okay, I'm relaxed, and I'm talking to people, and from that time I realized I have got to be me, but I've got to be a likable, approachable me. So without that, and then I just I take it to the extreme. I'm not coming in a Speedo or anything, but
Yeah.
hey, that would be nice. Be careful now.
Yeah. Well, again, to me, that again, it just speaks to being comfortable with who you are and being authentic and real. And I think that's ultimately what connects people is, the relatability, obviously the likability, but and approachability as she had referenced, but just really being comfortable with who we are, being not being something that we aren't, and to actually make that change and then see the results, I think is a powerful experience. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Right.
So we're just before 30 minutes, and I'm always trying to be sensitive to our guest time and our the folks that they're watching. So what is it that, from moving forward for you and your team, as we transition out of Q3 into Q4, which I would argue is the most important quarter of every year, because it's really establishing what the following year is going to be. What are you guys focused on right now to close out the year strong and really position yourself to take advantage of the market opportunities in 2023?
And I'll tell you, so December is usually our strongest month. I don't know why, and it's crazy. But so this next month, like October, is our time where we get together and we do more reaching out and marketing for our people and let them know just because it's Christmas, people still need homes and all that. So we do that and for somehow in December, we close December with a bang. Hopefully it stays that way this year.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we're not going to switch up too much more than what we are. We're still going to let our clients know what needs to be done. I think this year we're still, because the interest rate's supposed to go even higher. So I would think we'll be doing more explaining that, hey, we now is probably a good time to do something than later. We spend more time explaining than anything now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I see a question in the chat box from Larissa asking if you do your own social media or does your admin do that for you? So do you engage social media, or is it really somebody on your team?
No. So both. You'll see ads and, hey, how to improve your credit and stuff like that. That is my admin. But if you see my social media, there's a lot of stuff with me and my family. I don't even do a lot of marketing stuff on my social because they're my friends.
Yeah.
My friends know I sell houses. So yes, I'll put on there this person closed, but they want to see that I'm human like them. Right. They want to know that I have birthdays and other friends and the world is 7 degrees of separation. So you'd be surprised that you meet somebody who you actually know, even though you're somewhere else. Yeah. And as we say, I got my kids are spread out everywhere. So I'll go to Denver and you hear, hey, I'm here too. Like, yeah. Really? Okay. So I do my own marketing mostly, but my admin works closely with me. So anything that I like, she knows. And so.
Yeah. Good. Very good. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time. I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the last month or so, and want to wish you and your team continued success. I know your wife's traveling back from Jamaica today, so
Yeah.
safe travels to her. I know you're excited to see her tonight, but it's been a privilege. And again, I think just one of the most powerful takeaways that I've gotten from you is just focus on people, focus on relationships. Everybody wants to be treated to a great experience. And I think everybody that has a successful business, that's probably a commonality. And again, regardless of what the market and economy is doing, your constant is people don't change. They need a home and they want to be treated to a great experience. I mean,
Right.
that's, pretty simple and fundamental. So I appreciate you sharing your 23 years of wisdom. And not that I'm happy that you took a bullet, but that was the act that it took to get into real estate. I'm thankful for that. So,
And made me the realtor extraordinaire that I am today.
yeah, yeah. Well, listen, man, I again really appreciate your time, and you have a great rest of the year. And to everybody out there, I know they thank you as well. And let's finish this third quarter strong. A lot of opportunities, and as we pivot into the fourth quarter, I believe it's the most important time of the year to finish strong, but really set the foundation for a great year in 2023. So thank you, everybody. Have a great, productive day. Trace, Stacy, great to see you, bud.
Thank you. You too, sir. Have a great one.
Thanks. You too. Take
Bye.
care. Thanks all.